They found a relic of a lost civilization. It came to life the moment a human entered. The dead planet had no name. It sat alone in a forgotten corner of space where stars grew dim and old. 5 years ago, a survey ship found something impossible there. A tower, massive, ancient, perfect. They called it the beacon, Doctor. Velky stood before the crystalline structure, his 4 eyes reflecting its dark surface. The Thracian scientist had spent 3 years studying this mystery, 3 years of failure. "Run the sonic pulse again," he ordered his team. A young Korathi engineer nodded, her scaled hands dancing over the controls. Deep sound waves hit the beacon. Nothing happened, just like the last 1,000 tests. The tower rose 300 meters into the thin atmosphere. Its surface was smooth as glass, covered in symbols no one could read. Every scan showed it was impossibly old. Millions of years, perhaps more, yet it looked like it was built yesterday. "Still nothing, Doctor," the engineer reported, disappointment clear in her voice. Velkys clicked his mandibles in frustration. They had tried everything: energy beams, radiation, heat, cold, gravity manipulation, quantum resonance, even simple vibrations. The beacon remained cold and dead, keeping its secrets locked inside. Other scientists from the team gathered around. There was Jex, a floating luminar whose body glowed with soft blue light. Next to him stood Commander Wrath, a massive chronar with gray skin tough as armor. A dozen other species, all the best minds the Galactic Archaeological Consortium could send, all of them equally confused. "We should recommend closure," Commander Wrath rumbled. "This project costs too much, 5 years with no results. The consortium will pull funding soon anyway." All gone now, vanished millions of years ago. Only ruins remained. The beacon was the most complete ruin ever found. "One more week," Velkys pleaded. "Give me one more week." Though there is one strange thing. The humans requested to send someone. In galactic terms, they were children, still clumsy with basic technology, too emotional, too unpredictable. Their science was centuries behind the advanced species, but they had one thing the consortium needed: money, lots of it. "Their ship arrives tomorrow," Wrath continued. "Some junior archaeologist. We let her look around for a day, smile for the diplomatic cameras, then we all go home." The name Curiosity's Dawn was painted on its side in simple letters. One human emerged. She was young, maybe 30 standard years, short brown hair, dark eyes that looked at everything with wonder. She carried only basic equipment, the kind a student might use. "Dr. Velkys." "I'm Maya Chen. Thank you so much for allowing me to visit." Her voice was warm, friendly, too friendly for a professional dig site. "Yes, well," Velkys tried to be polite. "Welcome. I must warn you, we have found nothing useful here. The structure does not respond to any known stimulus. Though I doubt you will discover anything new. Your species finds hope in strange places," Jex commented to Velkys quietly. "Almost admirable in its foolishness." Then, almost casually, she reached out and placed her bare hand against the smooth surface. Everything changed in an instant. Light exploded through the tower. Brilliant, pure white light that filled every crystal layer, every hidden chamber. The symbols on the surface began to glow with colors that had no names. Deep inside the structure, something hummed to life, a sound so low it could be felt in bones and exoskeletons alike. The ancient patterns flowed across the beacon's surface like living things. They pulsed and shifted, creating new designs. The entire planet seemed to hold its breath. Maya jumped back, startled. Her hand trembled as she stared at what she had done. Every scientist froze. Velkys' 4 eyes went wide. Commander Wrath's jaw dropped open. Jex's light flared bright with shock. What did you do?" Velkys whispered, unable to speak louder. Maya looked at her hand, then at the beacon, then back at her hand. I just touched it, that's all, I just touched it." Harmonic sounds filled the air, complex and beautiful. After 5 years of silence, after countless tests and experiments, after the galaxy's best scientists exhausted every option, a human walked up and touched it, and the beacon woke up. Velkys moved forward slowly, his scientific mind racing. This was impossible, illogical, yet happening before his eyes. "Nobody move," he ordered his team. Then to Maya, "Step away from it, slowly." As the distance grew between her and the tower, the light began to dim. The sounds grew quieter. By the time she stood 10 meters back, the beacon was dark again, silent, dead. "Approach again," Velkys said, his voice shaking slightly. "Please." At 8 meters, the lights began to flicker. At 5 meters, they blazed to life again. The beacon sang its strange song once more. Commander Wrath activated his communicator with trembling hands. "Get me the consortium, now." Emergency priority. Just a junior archaeologist. Nothing special about her equipment, nothing obviously unique about her biology, yet she had done what the galaxy's greatest minds could not. She had brought the dead back to life. Ms. Chen, Velky said slowly, "I believe you should stay longer than 1 day. Much, much longer." It had found a human. The research camp became chaos within minutes. Scientists ran in every direction. Equipment beeped and flashed with emergency alerts. 3 more ships arrived from orbit, carrying senior officials who refused to wait even 1 day. Maya sat in a white medical tent, surrounded by machines scanning every part of her body. She tried to stay calm, but fear crept into her thoughts. What if she had broken something ancient and precious? What if she had released something dangerous? Heart rate normal. Brain patterns normal. Blood chemistry normal. A medical officer reported to Dr. Velkys. "She is completely ordinary for a human." No one was allowed near it except with special permission. The tower still glowed softly, waiting. For 3 days, they ran tests. They took samples of Maya's hair, skin, and blood. They measured her brain waves while she slept. They studied her DNA down to the smallest detail. Every test came back the same. Maya Chen was completely normal, a regular human, nothing special, yet the beacon only responded to her. On the 4th day, they allowed other team members to approach the beacon. First, Dr. Velkys tried. He walked close, reached out his claw, and touched the surface. Nothing. The tower remained dark. One by one, every scientist tried. The Korathi engineer, Commander Wrath, Jex the Luminar, representatives from a dozen different species. They all touched the beacon with hope in their hearts. Nothing happened for any of them. Then Maya approached again. Before her hand even touched the surface, the light began to glow. The symbols flowed across the crystal like water. The deep humming sound returned. "There must be something," Velky said desperately. "Some difference we are missing." She brought new equipment, more advanced than anything the team had used before. "Let us try a different approach," Dr. Thuron announced. "We will measure everything when the human approaches, every energy signature, every frequency, every quantum fluctuation." Then her 3 eyes widened with shock. "I have found it," she whispered, "bioelectric frequency. It is how our cells communicate, how our brains function. Each species has its own unique pattern, its own signature. And this is human. Like a lock waiting for the right key. For millions of years, it has been waiting for this specific bioelectric signature. Humans did not exist millions of years ago. Archaeological data from a dozen dead civilizations in this region of space. I have been studying the ancients for 20 years. I know something about their biology. The 3 major civilizations that lived here all started with bioelectric patterns similar to humans, but over time their patterns changed, evolved, shifted away from the original frequency. So you are saying humans are like the ancients were, a long time ago, before they evolved into something else. Chen, would you be willing to make deeper contact with the beacon, with proper safety measures, of course? I will try. She pressed both hands against the surface and closed her eyes. The light grew brighter than before. The humming became a chorus of sounds, harmonious and complex. Then something new happened. Images appeared in the air. Holographic projections flowing from the beacon like memories. Maya gasped. She saw cities, beautiful cities with towers of crystal and metal. She saw beings walking through streets, laughing and talking. They looked almost human, but not quite. Their faces were similar. Their bodies moved like humans moved. The ancients, Velkys breathed. We are seeing the ancients alive. Art and music and science all mixed together in a civilization that achieved wonders. But then the images changed. Maya felt a chill run through her. The cities became cold, empty. The beings in the projections moved differently, stiff, mechanical. Their faces showed no expression. No joy, no sadness. Nothing. Words appeared in the air in symbols that somehow Maya could understand. They burned in her mind like fire. Warning, warning, warning. Not from disaster, from something else, something they did to themselves. Maya pulled her hands away, breathing hard. The images vanished. The beacon returned to its soft glow. "What did you see?" Velkys asked urgently. Maya looked at all the scientists gathered around her. Species from across the galaxy all watching, all waiting. A warning, she said softly. The beacon is a warning, and we need to understand it before it is too late. The beautiful cities, the empty faces, the warning burning in ancient symbols. By morning, she made her decision. I want to go back, she told Dr. Velkes. I need to see more to understand what happened to them. We do not know what other systems might activate. Medical officers stood ready with emergency equipment. Every scientist on the planet gathered to watch and record. Maya approached the beacon again. Her heart pounded, but her hands were steady. She pressed both palms against the cool crystal surface. The light blazed immediately. This time, Maya kept her eyes open. She wanted to see everything. The holographic images appeared faster than before. They showed the ancient civilization at its peak. Maya saw their technology, far beyond anything the current galaxy had achieved. They had conquered disease, ended hunger, spread across 1,000 worlds, but they wanted more. They always wanted more. The images showed ancient scientists working on something new. They were changing themselves, altering their own biology at the deepest level. Maya heard words in her mind, translated from ancient language into thoughts she could understand. We will make ourselves perfect, the ancients had said. We will remove the flaws that hold us back. The ancients believed their emotions were weaknesses. Anger, fear, sadness, even joy. They saw these feelings as primitive leftovers from their evolution, unnecessary, inefficient, so they removed them. They changed their DNA, modified their brains, adjusted their bioelectric patterns to eliminate emotional responses. They did it slowly, carefully, over 3 generations, and at first it seemed to work beautifully. The hologram showed an ancient civilization running with perfect efficiency. No arguments, no conflicts. No wasted time on feelings. Their logic was pure. Their decisions were optimal. Their society functioned like a perfect machine. But then something began to fail. Maya watched as the images showed scientists staring at problems they could not solve. Not because the problems were too difficult, but because they could not think of new ways to approach them. Their creativity had died with their emotions. Artists stood before blank canvases, unable to create. Musicians forgot how to compose new songs. Writers could only repeat old patterns. Engineers could not imagine new designs. Without emotions, they had lost something essential: the ability to dream, to wonder, to imagine possibilities that did not exist yet. The ancient civilization began to collapse, not from outside threats, but from inside. They became stuck, frozen, unable to adapt or grow or change. Maya felt tears on her cheeks as she watched their cities grow quiet, not destroyed, just empty. The ancients slowly faded away, unable to feel the importance of their own survival. In their final years, they understood their terrible mistake. They tried desperately to reverse the changes, but it was too late. The modifications had become permanent. They could not bring back what they had removed, so they built the beacons. The hologram showed hundreds of towers like this one, scattered across the galaxy. Each one a warning, each one waiting for species that still had what the ancients had lost. New words burned in Maya's mind, the final message from a dying civilization. What makes you matter? Keep them, protect them. Never let efficiency become more important than humanity. The ancients had used a term in their language that meant the quality of being truly alive. But it translated into her mind as humanity, as if they had known, somehow, that humans would be the ones to find this message. The hologram shifted again. It showed something new. A gift, the beacon contained vast archives of ancient knowledge, everything they had learned before their mistake. Science, medicine, engineering, art, philosophy, all of it preserved perfectly, waiting to be shared. But there was a condition built into the system. The knowledge would only release slowly, carefully, to those who approached with curiosity and compassion. It was designed to teach, not simply to give answers. The ancients had built it to encourage the very qualities that had saved them at their best and that they had lost at their worst. Maya pulled her hands away, gasping. The images faded, but the weight of understanding remained heavy in her chest. The gathered scientists stood in stunned silence. Dr. Thuron's 3 eyes shimmered with something that might have been tears. Even Commander Wrath looked shaken. They destroyed themselves by trying to become perfect, Velkes whispered. By removing what made them alive. Many advanced species in the galaxy had programs to reduce emotional responses in their populations. They called it evolutionary progress, optimization, the next step forward. The ancients had thought the same thing. Dr. Thuron moved closer to Maya. What else did you see? What is the gift they mentioned? With compassion, not ambition. But more than that, she looked at all the different species gathered around. The beacon can share knowledge with all of you too, through us, through humans acting as bridges. They need to hear this, all of them now. News of the beacon's message spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within days, the small dead planet became the most important location in known space. Ships arrived from every corner of the galactic consortium. Delegates, scientists, politicians, military leaders. All wanting to see the awakened beacon, all wanting to understand what the ancients had left behind. But not everyone was happy. The Galactic Council held an emergency session. Maya watched the transmission from the research camp, her stomach tight with worry. Hundreds of representatives from different species filled the grand chamber, and many of them looked angry. "This is unacceptable," declared Ambassador Kreth, a proud Xinthian with purple scales and cold eyes. "Ancient technology of this magnitude cannot be controlled by humans. They are the youngest species in the consortium, the least experienced. How can we trust them with knowledge that could reshape civilizations?" Some species demanded the beacon be seized and studied by more responsible civilizations. Others wanted it destroyed completely, fearing the knowledge was too dangerous for anyone. A few voices spoke in Maya's defense, but they were drowned out by the majority. Then the human delegation arrived at the planet. 5 ships carrying Earth's best diplomats and scientists. Leading them was Ambassador Sarah Williams, a woman with gray hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. "We need to act carefully," Ambassador Williams told Maya privately. "Half the galaxy sees this as humanity trying to claim power we have not earned. That happened to be us. They wanted to study it, take it apart, understand how it worked without human involvement. Commander Wrath refused. The beacon responds only to human bioelectric frequencies. Forcing access could destroy it. The knowledge belongs to the galaxy, not to one primitive species." A group of Xinthian soldiers, following Ambassador Kreth's secret orders, attempted to force their way past the security perimeter. They had one goal: capture Maya and make her activate the beacon by force. Alarms screamed across the camp. Maya woke to find Dr. Velky's pulling her from her tent. "Run, get to the beacon," he shouted. "Why, what is happening?" Commander Wrath and his security team fighting to hold back the attackers. She reached the beacon, pressing her hands against its surface. The tower blazed to life immediately, sensing her fear. The Xinthian soldiers broke through the defensive line. 6 of them armed and determined, they surrounded Maya, weapons pointed at her. "Activate the knowledge archives," their leader commanded. "Now, or we will make you." The soldier moved closer, his weapon raised. "You have no choice." The attacking soldiers were hit by a wave of feeling. They experienced the complete emotional history of the ancients' fall. Every moment of their decline, the loneliness, the emptiness, the horror of losing what made life worth living. The Xinthians stumbled backward, their weapons falling from shaking hands. Some fell to their knees. One started crying, tears streaming down his scaled face. "I cannot feel," one soldier whispered in horror. "In the vision, I cannot feel anything." It is worse than death. Their species had been systematically reducing emotions in their population for 2 generations. They called it progress. The beacon showed them it was extinction. Maya watched as the soldiers retreated, shaken to their core. Commander Wrath arrived with reinforcements, but the fight was over. The attackers had defeated themselves. Ambassador Kreth tried to deny involvement, but the truth came out quickly. The galactic community was outraged, trying to force access to ancient warning systems. Using violence against archaeologists, it was shameful. The council reconvened, and this time the tone was very different. Ambassador Williams stood before them, her voice strong and clear. "The beacon does not belong to humans, we understand this. But it responds to humans because we carry what the ancients lost. Not by choice, not by superiority, by accident of evolution. The ancients left this warning for species who still feel, who still dream, who still struggle with emotions they cannot control. Many of you have spent generations trying to optimize those qualities away. The beacon is telling you to stop." Thuron stepped forward, her data displayed for all to see. 12 species in this chamber have active programs to reduce emotional responses. 17 more are considering such programs. The ancients tried the same thing. It killed them. We propose a compromise, Ambassador Williams continued. The beacon site becomes a shared heritage location. Any species can send researchers to learn from the ancient archives, but humans will serve as guardians and intermediaries, not because we are special. Because we can hear the message most clearly. A chance to avoid the ancients' mistake. She looked around at all the different species. We are all in danger of losing ourselves, all of us, humans too. This is not about human power, it is about survival. The beacon would remain under human guardianship. Any species could access its knowledge through proper channels. And most importantly, the ancients' warning would be taught in schools across the galaxy. Maya stood before the beacon as the sun set on the dead planet. Soon it would not be dead anymore. A permanent research station was being built. Scientists from 100 worlds would come to learn, and Maya would be there to help them, the first human keeper of ancient wisdom. The dead planet was dead no longer. A beautiful research station now stood beside the beacon, built from crystal and metal that honored the ancient architectural style. Gardens grew in artificial atmospheres. Living quarters housed scientists from 40 different species. They called it Haven Station. Maya Chen walked through the main corridor, greeting researchers as she passed. Dr. Velkes worked in the biology wing now, studying ancient genetic records. Commander Rath led the security force that protected the site. Even Jex had stayed, his light flickering happily as he taught classes about ancient philosophy. But the biggest change was in Maya herself. She was no longer a junior archaeologist. She wore the silver badge of the first keeper, a position created specifically for her. She had trained 20 other humans to become keepers as well, each one learning to bridge the gap between the beacon and the galaxy. Today was special. A new group of students was arriving. Maya stood near the beacon as the transport ships landed. Young beings from a dozen species emerged, their eyes wide with wonder. They had been selected carefully, the brightest minds, the most curious hearts, the ones who still asked why about everything. "Welcome to Haven Station," Maya announced, her voice warm. "You are here to learn from the ancients, but more importantly, you are here to learn about yourselves." So they removed fear, anger, sadness, love, wonder, and joy. They became perfectly logical, perfectly efficient, and they died. Emotions can hurt, they can lead to mistakes, but they also lead to everything good, every beautiful painting, every touching song, every brave sacrifice, every moment of kindness. All of these come from feelings, not from logic. The holographic images appeared, showing the ancient civilization at its peak. Happy, creative, alive. The ancients learned too late that efficiency is not the same as living. Being perfect is not the same as being real. A Xinthian medical researcher learned ancient healing techniques, but the beacon would only share them when he approached with genuine desire to help others, not just to advance his career. A Thracian engineer accessed designs for incredible machines. But first, she had to understand why the ancients built them, what purpose they served, how they improved lives rather than just demonstrating power. An artist from the Luminar species discovered ancient music. The beacon taught him that true art comes from emotion, from the heart, not from mathematical formulas or perfect technique. Every species learned something different, but they all learned the same lesson. Their feelings were not weaknesses to overcome. They were gifts to treasure. The impact spread far beyond Haven Station. Schools across the galaxy began teaching about the ancients. Children learned the warning story. Many species reconsidered their programs to reduce emotions. Some stopped them completely. Others slowed down, choosing to think more carefully about what they might lose. The Xinthian government officially ended their emotion reduction program. Ambassador Kreth, humbled by what he had experienced at the beacon, became one of the strongest supporters of preserving emotional intelligence. "We were walking toward extinction with our eyes closed," he admitted publicly. "The humans opened our eyes. We owe them a debt we can never repay." They had simply provided the warning. Each species had to choose its own path. One evening, Maya sat alone near the beacon, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors the dead planet had not seen for millions of years. "Doctor." Velkes joined her, his 4 eyes reflecting the fading light. "Do you ever wonder why it was humans?" he asked quietly. Why your species kept the bioelectric frequency the ancients lost. It was not destiny, it was just luck, random chance. We could have easily evolved differently. Maybe because we never had the technology to remove them. Maybe because we were too busy feeling to think about stopping. We just lived it. The word humanity had taken on new meaning across the galaxy. It no longer meant just the human species. It meant the quality of being truly alive, of feeling deeply, of caring strongly, of being beautifully, messily, wonderfully imperfect. Every species had their own version of humanity. The beacon helped them remember it. Maya watched as a young human girl arrived with the evening group. The child could not have been more than 10 years old, daughter of one of the researchers. She approached the beacon cautiously, then placed her small hand against its surface. The tower blazed with light, responding to her touch just as it had to Maya's 3 years ago. The little girl laughed with pure delight. It is pretty. That was what the ancients had lost. The ability to see something and simply think it was pretty, to feel joy without analyzing it, to wonder without needing to understand. Dr. Velkes clicked his mandibles in what Maya had learned was his version of a chuckle. Perhaps that child will be the second keeper someday. As long as she keeps feeling, keeps wondering, keeps being human in the truest sense. Each one sharing the same warning and the same gift. Each one reminding the galaxy that being alive meant more than just existing. The ancients had failed to save themselves, but their message, carried across millions of years, might save everyone else. Maya stood and prepared for tomorrow's lessons. There was so much to teach, so much to share, so much to feel, and that, she thought, was exactly how it should be. The beacon glowed softly in the gathering darkness, no longer a relic of a lost civilization, but a bridge between the past and the future. A reminder that the things which make us vulnerable are the same things that make us alive. The dead planet had become a place of life again, and at its heart stood a simple truth the ancients had learned too late.